Thanksgiving is a really big deal for my wife's family. It's usually when they all get together, like extended family, cousins, aunts, nieces, nephews. Everybody comes together in Indianola, Mississippi at the farm. The first Thanksgiving I spent with them, I was met with a side dish that sort of blew me away. It's a simple combination of sausage and rice, but it is so much more than the sum of its parts. It has quickly become my all-time favorite Thanksgiving side dish, which is a high bar to clear against stuff like mac and cheese, green bean casserole, mashed potatoes. There's some heavy hitters in that tier. This is a text from Megan K's grandma, MawMaw, from last year outlining how to make it. If you want to blow people away, you're going to want to follow this recipe. There are 3 specific places that the flavor for this dish really comes from. One is the vegetables that we're going to prep and mix with our sausage. One is the spicy breakfast sausage that we're gonna brown up and get delicious and crispy. And the last one is something I would have never guessed. It's a container of dried Lipton noodle soup. It's packed with like salt, some chicken flavor, and tons of these little noodles that almost resemble rice, so that the final dish has this really nice, glossy, saucy texture that brings a lot of depth and creaminess. We'll start with our veggie prep, and this dish uses a classic Cajun trinity. That's bell pepper, onion, and celery. Lots of dishes in Mississippi are gonna use a similar thing. Dice your bell pepper into a fine dice by taking off the top and bottom. From there, remove the seeds and lay the pepper out like a book. Cut the pepper into strips and then cut those strips into a dice. Dice your small onion as well as your 2 celery stalks. Sort of rule of thumb, my wife's family doesn't love garlic, but that doesn't fly in my household, so I definitely add garlic to mine. I'm gonna break tradition and add 2 cloves of grated garlic here. That's gonna be the extent of our prep. It really is that easy. At the stove, bring a large skillet up to temperature over medium-high heat. Once it's hot, add in your breakfast sausage. I really like the spicy Jimmy Dean here. That's what MawMaw uses. And in general, this just brings a ton of flavor, much more than the mild would. It's got the peppers in it, it's got the heat, and it's got the flavor that you need for this dish to really shine. We're gonna break this up with a stiff spatula and let it brown really nicely. As I mentioned earlier, most of the flavor from this dish is coming from this pan, so keep it nice and beautiful and brown. Once it's browned, add in your pepper, onion, and celery. We're gonna hold the garlic back a little bit while we sweat the veggies in the fat from the sausage. If you need a little more fat, I really like to pour in some nice olive oil here. Once softened, add the garlic and let it cook for about a minute or 2. You can remove this from the heat, and then we'll turn to the other portion of the dish. This is also the time for you to turn your oven up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. To cook the rice mix, we're gonna bring 2.5 cups of water up to a boil and add in your packaged soup mix along with 1/2 cup of unwashed white rice. The starch that's on the outside is gonna help create a creamy, delicious final product. Once they're in and boiling, drop it to a simmer, cover it, and cook the rice with the soup mix for about 20 minutes. You really just don't want any crunchy rice granules in the final dish. There should be enough water in here to cook the soup and rice without leaving us with a soupy mess at the end. After about 20 minutes, the rice should be perfectly cooked and you should have a little bit of liquid left. That liquid's gonna be important. Give that a good mix and make sure your rice is done. Then add in your cooked sausage and veggie mix. Transfer this to a baking dish and place that in the oven for about 10 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. The moisture left in the pan is gonna be soaked up by the rice and the noodles, and you're gonna be left with this creamy, fluffy, beautiful casserole. Now, I'm pretty sure this is the most straightforward recipe I've ever put out on the channel, but I want to harp on just how freaking delicious this is. Before I actually filmed it, I made it, and my wife and I just ate it for lunch with a fried egg on top, and it was probably the best thing we had eaten all week. When we go to Mississippi and go to the bunkhouse for our big, large, like 20, 30, however many people are there, dinner, this is served in like 2 giant aluminum pans, and it's pretty much the only dish that actually gets completely emptied by the end of the night. Everybody knows this is the one you go back for. Sausage rice just hits way harder than any of the dishes on the table. This is like everything you want in a Thanksgiving side. It's carby, it's creamy, it's delicious with gravy, and it steals the show from any of the other dishes on the table. I highly recommend working this into your holiday plans this year. Holidays are always like a pretty big time to be grateful and to look back on the year. For me, this was a really interesting, hard year. A lot has taken place in Megan K and I's life. As difficult as all of it's been really sweet to be in it together. I'm just really grateful for the people in my life and for you all watching and connecting with me through this way. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for watching this video. If you are looking for a hearty dish that's gonna comfort your soul, similar to this one, check out last week's video on chicken and dumplings. I wanna give a massive, massive shout out to the amazing people supporting me directly on Patreon through patreon.com/CameronMarty. Those people have decided that my work is worth supporting financially, and it just means the world to me. You'll see their names going by on screen now. They get some cool benefits for supporting the channel. Thank you again for watching. Cheers.